If you're a builder, remodeler, trade partner, architect, designer looking to grow your business, expand your network, and learn from some of the best minds in the industry, then you need to be at the Contractor Coalition Summit. It will be held November 6th through 9th in Charlotte, North Carolina, and this is not your typical conference. The Contractor Coalition Summit is built around real conversations, real relationships, and real strategies that you can take back and implement immediately. You'll connect with top-performing contractors from across the country, hear from industry leaders, and gain insights on leadership, operations, sales, marketing, culture, profitability, and AI. Whether you're looking to scale your business, improve your systems, or simply surround yourself with people who are pushing the industry forward, this event is for you. We will see you November 6th through 9th, Charlotte, North Carolina. Go to www.contractorcoalitionsummit.com and register and sign up.
I had a false belief of how much I needed to sacrifice. Today, I have just a different register of what up here is. I'm trying to focus on peace every day and be really happy in the job I do for the people I do it with, and then the end user. And if all those things are pretty good, man, I got a pretty good life.
Well, super excited for the podcast today. We have Michael Pinkey on. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this one. So Michael is he's a managing partner, at ProGuard Building and the national sales director. And I think the cool thing is if anyone has listened to my podcast for the last 7 years or went back to the very beginning, Michael was like one of my first guests. So, and truth be told, the reason this podcast is even in existence is because of Michael. He got me started. So,
yeah, you give me too much credit for that, but it was in a different time, different industry completely that I was in when we were in the same building. I was in your building.
Yeah.
That you sit in now. So we were downstairs. So that was, how many years ago was that now?
Oh, that was, when I started the podcast.
How long have you been doing the podcast?
Yeah, 7 years. So, 7 years ago, you were downstairs. You were
Wow.
here, of course, after that time. But
yeah.
It's wild, man. And now it's transformed.
That was awesome.
Yeah, anyone that's been in my office, we have, it's been part of the golf industry for a while. Michael kickstarted that, made a lot of connections for us and for me.
That was cool.
Yeah, I've been very influential in my career. So, I appreciate you a lot, Michael.
What's interesting is you always say that about I helped start that, but you actually came in and built the studio because of your skills. So it was doing this thing and you built such an incredible, we had an awesome podcast studio there, soundproof, and just top notch and awesome. It was amazing. So yeah, helping each other. But yeah, that's great, man. 7 years later.
Yeah. And then here you are now, Michael, maybe talk through this. This is a big jump. You were involved in the golf industry. You're an incredible golfer. You have a ton of connections in that industry. You had a podcast leading to the golf industry. Now you're in construction. You moved over and I was like, hold on, Michael's, what brought you over to the dark side?
Man, I without giving you too much credit, I don't want to get your head too big here, but honestly, it was the same thing you say about podcast. I think when I got out of golf and I was done with it, I was considering what to do and I didn't know what I was going to do next. I looked at some other golf opportunities, just didn't know where I wanted it to be. And if I wanted to stay in golf has a very quick ceiling that you hit. Because it's a service industry and it's kind of more one-on-one relationship, I can only build it as much as I can do. And then I got to get more people and we can grow, but we're still making the same. Mm-hmm. So there's a strange ceiling there. So I think, man, honestly, if I had to put a finger on it, I think just watching you guys do what you did, you guys were upstairs. I saw you guys every day, saw a lot of your staff. We're getting lessons. We spent a lot of time together. So watching you guys grow in that culture, and I saw I think the bandwidth in construction world and what that looked like, and I think the timing is everything in all we do. And a guy that used to work for me when I left the golf industry was like, "What are you doing? You should come for us." And he was in construction, and I must have said no 3 or 4 times, and he talked me into it. And it's been, it's been a blessing in my life, and it's. I gotta say, today I love it more than I did the golf stuff. It's incredible.
It is. It's an incredible industry, but it's challenging. I think, in fairness, every industry has its own challenges, though. But construction, is a little unique. And,
Yeah.
you've got involved in a pretty advanced style of construction, from, the building envelope and systems. Like what really led you down that path to get into, call it, from protecting buildings, waterproofing, WRB, from, what led you to ProGuard Building?
Um, I started first with a company called Firestone, which everybody knows is very
Mhm.
national, global brand. Most people know them for tires and things like that, and the stops you can get your tune up for your car. But what a lot of people don't know is Firestone's responsible for majority of the rubber in new construction, building, and roofing. So rubber, EPDM roofing, single plies, even down a metal cap sheet. So when you're building a new commercial building, uh, there's a couple options, and they make all of them. And they provided that like 23 factories in the country. That's where I started with the guy that used to work for me. He got me in that, and man, I just took it. I love learning. Everything I do, I love something brand new I can sink my teeth in to see if I can become good at it. And this was super brand new to me. I didn't know anything the day I started. I mean, he's like, "You'll be fine. You're good with people." That was like my training. uh, and I took it as a challenge. I think because I took it that way, the way I looked at it, it became a passion of mine. And then I started to see, man, yeah, I think you're in a business that's a little more intimate because you're working with the homeowner every single day. I work on a lot of commercial big projects, but oftentimes we don't even talk to the person that owns the building.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I felt like there was an extra layer of responsibility for me to protect that in their absence, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in that position with Firestone, loved it. And then the guy that owns ProGuard now came along, tried to pull me away from that company maybe 2 or 3 times. I said no. And then I ran into him randomly at another event, and I think I was ready in my mind, and he said it again. So jumped ship, went with him, and man, if I had to tell you what he's like in comparison, you'd understand, because we both know is he's the most similar human being that I've known to Dave Clark.
Mm.
He's been a super genuine human being, honesty up front, tell it how it is. If I don't know it, teach it. Been great mentor. And fast forward to now, a couple of years later, I'm now his partner in the business, and I absolutely love it. I mean, he's great. So I love the business we're in. So there's no like end to it.
I think we all need those Dave Clarks to see something in us, believe in us, and give you that opportunity, especially to make you a partner. I mean, that's a huge deal, Michael. But it's a credit to like who you are, which I know we'll get into just from some of the experiences you've had in your life. But going back to it, I mean, a question often asked is like, how do you get into the industry, right? I mean, yes, you have connections, you have people, but I mean, you're coming into a field, Michael, that granted, I don't know how much construction experience you had, but I'd imagine to some extent it's a little bit limited, right? It's like you're out there every day building, and coming from the golf industry, and then you're coming into the technical side, right? You're looking at, the building envelope. And so how did you credit just quick education? Yes, you're driven, you're competitive, people person, you can make friendships very easily, which are, any asset, because those are things you can't teach. But then from the, the technical side, getting familiar with the product, understanding how to sell the product, how to build relationships, with, the end user and client that's purchasing this product. Like, how did you kind of knock those doors down?
It's a question that's I think a lot of people ask me. I mean, my partner today still asks me, because I don't know that I think I do have some unique skills in communication with people. But if I had to put my finger on anything, I think it's probably trying to just stay in line with consistency and character, and always seeing it from across the table. Like I want that relationship with everybody. I want to be able to have a friendship or a romantic relationship or a business relationship where that I can have the eyes from the other side of the table, because then I can understand how we're both feeling and then understand what I need to do next. And that's helped me in every business I've been in. but more so with this one because it's so big and there's so much I don't know today. Still, like I get phone calls and I got to be like, yeah, no problem. Let me get you the answer. And then I got to go hunt it down. I don't really even know what they said, but I'm, getting through it. But I think for me, being authentic in the truth is key. Like being truthful when I don't know something, standing by my word when I say something, not trying to oversell anything that's not my business. But it's not been easy all the way. This business is really tough because there's a lot of money involved in it. There's a lot of opportunity. And for every great contractor, there's 5 more that are not great following right behind them. And it's hard to navigate. It has been very difficult, but I think in life too, for me, it's like the harder it is, I know I'm doing something on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I like about construction. It's just never, it's never, I think it looks nice when we post it, we tell somebody where the project's done. You guys are very good at showing and showcasing how great it is, but what's all the stuff behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Like how many sacrifices for how many people on your team, you included, it took to get to what we all are saying, going, that's amazing. You guys did a spectacular job. That's incredible. You guys are the best in the business. And that's what I want to, that's why I want to talk to you, because I want to talk about the things that we don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
How hard it really is to be good at something and what you do.
Yeah. What have you found out about yourself, maybe along those lines, Michael, to come into a new industry? What did you learn about yourself?
I think probably mostly to listen more. I've always been a salesman. My dad was a hustler. So I think what I learned first was salesmanship, which is just convincing another person that you're leading the conversation. Doesn't mean what you're selling is any good.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a long time to realize that. And then I just believe that, I don't know. I can't put my finger on this thing. I'm trying to stay in character and consistency every day, that I know that I can witness when I have bad days that are related to this. And when I have really good days, what was I doing? Because I've always been good at sales, but this business isn't that. It's not just being good at sales. It's having integrity and,
Mm-hmm.
Character and stand by your word and all these things. So this business has been difficult to navigate in the sense that I don't want to say this and paint the picture, but there's a lot more dark roads in this industry than I thought there were. I thought, when you talk about humans, like we're trying to make this building the best it can be for the owner. But then when you get down to nitty gritty, you can find out that not a lot of people have that mentality. So for me, that's been super interesting, and it's a challenging part of my job. When do I speak up? When do I say something? When is it my business? So like listening a lot more than I talk in this business has served me well. Golf, I talked the most. I was a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
The student doesn't talk that much.
Yeah.
You keep talking until something good happens and they hit the ball better. Or in this business, I think listening it's the opposite.
It's interesting, Michael, because you talked about this. You made a comment, a lot of dark roads. And, I think what's really tough, just kind of building on this, is the construction industry is challenging for a lot of reasons. But as you get into, to your point, product knowledge, like you're representing product knowledge, building envelopes. And, there's this constant battle that everyone's having, right? You have clients that may or may not have the money, but a lot of times the money's dictated on comps, right? On appraisals, on the neighborhood. And so there's these elements, are you overbuilding the house? Can the house be overbuilt? Yeah. And so we see a lot of shortcuts, right? A lot of race to the bottom. And then at the same time, you're You have clients looking at, finishes and social media saying, hey, Mike, I want this amazing range and this beautiful cabinetry. I want this
Right.
master bath, which then absorbs some of the budget, which should probably go to the healthy living in the home or building a home. Mark LaLiberte, who's a building science expert, I've had, he consults on all of our projects. I've had him on the
Yeah, I saw
podcast.
that.
And Mark is,
It's really good.
yeah, he always asks people, like, how long should a home last? Should it last 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, And he's like, it's interesting going around the country and just seeing people's different perspective on how long a home should last and how long it should be healthy. And it's, for us, I still find this challenge that, we've been fortunate to do a lot of net zero, a lot of advanced building, and still we have clients that I don't want to say don't appreciate it, but, it's just there's an element of cost, right? That, at some point they're not willing. I shouldn't say they're not willing. It's not practical. It's not feasible. It's, there's a lot of reasons why. And there's concessions made. And I think that's really hard for someone in your shoes, Michael, as you're sitting here saying, hey, I know this product is going to add a lot of value to the house. It's going to help with longevity. It's going to help with healthy living, but sometimes does the builder get on board? Does the client get on board with that?
Yeah. I was going to ask you the question to that too, is where do you struggle the most? Because I struggle a lot with knowing what I know and accepting what's in front of me and finding where I'm going to meet those. And this is usually the client. Like I had a client the other day that was just, he doesn't want to do the right thing. He's like, I know, but what's the cheapest thing I can do to get by? And he has tenants in there. And it's like, I'm knowing it's not a responsible thing to do. And I had to turn down the deal. And it was a pretty big deal. And it took me a little bit of wrestling with myself to be like, health of my company, health of their building, but it's what he wants. Where do I sacrifice? So do you, it sounds like you were explaining that. Do you have struggles in that? Like when you know something should be the way and you can't quite get them there, but.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Michael. I look, it's a little bit different from my side as a general contractor as opposed to, representing one scope of the work, we'll say. But what I will tell you is that's a common thing, in the commercial world specifically. And, you're going to see a lot of things are driven based on time and budget, right? For it to pencil. And so there's a lot of concessions made to, whether it's, multifamily, whether it's, minimum code that they're required to do. And there's not a ton of value about, taking these extra steps. Where we have an opportunity on the high-end custom is you do have clients that find value in maybe it's health, maybe it's the building structure, and some are willing to invest or listen. But I will say at the core to answer your question, one thing that really separates, I had Sean Van Dyke on and he said the best answer sometimes you could give someone is no, right? And maybe it's you pass on the job, to your point, Michael. Maybe it's you stand up and maybe from my side where I have to balance it, I may come to you, Michael, as a client and be like, hey, Michael, look, I know that you may not see the value add of this vapor barrier or, this WRB enclosure. What can we do? Can we make some value engineering here? Can we make some substitutions here? Like, what can we do to help make this, because we really believe in this, this investment. And so anyways, I think there's elements to that where it's a hard conversation, but if you truly believe in the product, the brand you're putting out there, you have to stay true to that to some extent. You can't just follow the winds of, the current, the era at the moment.
I think that's exactly what you said there. And you have to stand true to, if you really believe in what you're doing, then it shouldn't be hard to stand true to it. And that goes back to trusting that you like what you're doing too. There's a lot of sales guys that do sales that are good at that don't like what they're doing, right? So I know plenty of them. So that makes sense. I mean,
yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, Michael, because here's the thing: like, if you really, there's an element to loving what you're doing, but also believing in the product, right? Like you really believe in what you are doing, Michael. Like you're making a big difference. Representing ProGuard Building in the product and how that's going to benefit the end user, the client that investor, whoever's putting in, the general contractor. And so when you have that conviction, to your point, you may have other sales skills, but it helps you. And yes, you're always going to find some clients that are like, hey, Mike, I don't need this. And it allows you to step away. But the more you build that brand of like, this is what we do and we operate and this is how we care, like you will attract, right, those right people and continue to build your niche, right, in the industry.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. We did that in golf, which, like tracking frequency and brain waves and where you are. It's like it is infectious. I think that's how people grow in culture and teams. Is how you lead is how people perceive you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they die on the cross for you too. It's like they'll show up for you when you are the example they want to be.
Well,
so that's a big one for me.
Yeah, and I think this is the biggest thing. I mean, how do you do this? Because I think you're similar to me, Michael. I think one of the biggest challenges we have is you have to balance performance, you have to balance durability, and budget. And so when when I'm recommending products, when you are, they're going to look at that performance, durability, and budget. Like, how are you having those conversations, with your own clientele?
Yeah, I'm like a good, better, best presentation because I think it allows them to see the whole thing. That I'm not just trying to sell them the Ferrari and spend the whole time convincing them that the Ferrari is the car they want. I'm just saying, here are the options. I can help you in all three. Let's find out where you fall. And usually, I think that helps the customer. In our cases, we don't always ask all the questions that are needed to be asked. Like, this building is, how old is it? Where is it going? Are you going to give it to your kids? Is it going to be in generational? Are you going to sell it next year?
Mm-hmm.
You plan to get out of the business and retire. Is it a triple net? Is it yours to do? We often don't ask enough questions in our business anyway, in my opinion. Sales guys in my industry are trying to sell truckloads. We're selling material. We're trying to sell truckloads to make it intimate with the building owner and find out if he's going to give it to his kids. Does it really come up in a truckload conversation? So, it's like, how many trucks do you need? He's like, I'm trying to get rid of the building. So some of those don't really connect. And I think what I've found a niche for myself in this business is doing what other people will not. I think this applies in anything in life. Do the things that nobody else will do, and you'll always stay just ahead. It allows you to anticipate and look around corners and be better at what you do when you act in that kind of way. So for me, like, values don't disappear all at once. It's one small compromise at a time. Like, I don't just lose my values tomorrow. It's every little choice I make to say, you know what? This guy doesn't really need a restoration, but I need to hit my numbers this month.
Mm-hmm.
That's a compromise in my character. It's not really, he's still going to get a great roof. I believe in the product, still going to turn out. But I just took a little chink in my armor. I sacrificed one little thing in my character, and then it becomes a long-term change in my values. And I won't do that. Like today, you said something earlier that reminded me of, everything it takes. When I was in the golf business, that was everything. I didn't know anything. I thought that was going to be the rest of my world. I was in love with it. I spent so much time there. I loved my people. I loved the culture. I loved building it. I didn't want to leave the building. I just kept building upstairs, nicer. Mm-hmm. I had a little couch, and like I would stay. I'd shower there. We put a shower in. So we had the gym there, so it was like I'm working. I do the gym at night when everybody leaves. I shower there. Sometimes I stay and do the podcast editing. But I really enjoyed being there, and I don't think it was until I lost my mother, and then a couple things. My relationship was happening, breaking up. It was those things that shined a light on all the sacrifices it took to do the thing I loved. And that was really hard for me to see in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason why at the end I walked away from it all. Because it was, I had a false belief of how much I needed to sacrifice, really, in my life. to become something I didn't know what it even was. So like today I have just a different, I think I have a different register of what up here is. Like I'm not going towards this big mountain I can't see. I'm trying to like focus on peace every day and be really happy in the job I do for the people I do it with, my team, and then the end user. And if all those things are pretty good, man, I got a pretty good life.
You know, it's funny how, you know, we kind of all go through these moments in life where you have the introspection, right? You have to look inside, as you mentioned, you know, with, you know, doing family stuff, personal stuff. And it's like, hey, you know, what is this? What is it that's driving me? And for you, I mean, to make a whole industry change, I mean, that is a major move, Michael. I mean, that's like
major.
I still to this day, you know, we had become such good friends, and all of a sudden you're like, Brad, I'm in construction. I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, what's?
I know. I remember.
I'm like, you were giving me lessons on my sucky golf swing, bro. Like, what are we doing?
I remember when I told you I switched businesses. You're like, what do you mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
I couldn't believe it, man. Like, because I mean, you had just built such a good, you know, product and brain and stuff. And so, you know, as you think about that, and maybe this is, you know, from your side, how did you build those relationships though? Like, how did you get in the door? Like, of course, yeah, you could come knock down my door and be like, hey, Brad, I want to talk to you and we have a relationship. But how do you find that Rolodex of, you know, new GCs, new clients? Like, did you just cold call? Did you just find them on LinkedIn?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I'm a cold call maniac. It's a little embarrassing. I have created like this no ego situation for myself. I used to have a really big one. I used to, you know, I did a lot of great things in the golf business, and I got to a lot of places and spent a lot of time with people. And where I grew up, I thought it would never happen. So it started to a little get to me, and I started to be a little bit like, oh, I can really do anything. And it's just not true. I don't think it ever gets there for whatever you do. But man, I just had a little ego death, and I was like, listen, this is brand new. Nobody knows me and respects me in this business. I have no clout. There's nothing. I am starting at the infancy stage. So I said, I'm going to commit to every single town I go to. I'm going to commit to as many cold calls as possible. Not even planned. If I'm driving and I turn my head and I see a contractor's building, I do a U-turn, I pull around, knock on the door.
That's amazing.
Like I did, you know, I just got home in Arizona 2 weeks ago. And prior to that, for the last 3.5 months, I've been on the road 31,000 miles from East Coast to West Coast and back, going to my warehouses, hiring people, checking in every single customer that was in my Rolodex that GE already had before me, and then cold calling the nation. And I bought a Mercedes Sprinter RV, 28 foot. It's got 2 slide outs. I wrapped the whole thing in our business, and I took off. And I didn't come home for almost 4 months. So to me, it feels like I need to earn my place in this industry because I'm late to the game. Meaning I'm 45 years old, and I didn't know what the word single ply was when people were saying in training the first day.
Right.
They're like cap sheet, burr. I'm like, what? PVC? I'm like, that's a roof. So I just, you know, I was just listening and writing stuff down. I get off a meeting, turn to this computer and be like, what is PVC roofing? And I will tell you, the cold calling thing has masterclassed me in a hurry. Because I told you I switched from talking to listening. When I go in the office, I go very humble and I go to learn. I'm here to understand why you use what you use today and just tell you about what we have. And I listen, and they tell me everything. People want to talk, Brad. Once you shut up, I realized I shut up, people actually want to tell me, and people do want to talk. And it brings me to the point of when I left golf and did a lot of reflection. Dave was a big part of this too. I think my relationship with Dave, you can speak on. I know you had one. That's kind of what we share, but Dave was a huge part of my reflection after I left the golf business of saying to myself, like, what did I do right and wrong? all those things. And in that process, I co-founded a company called Meek Warrior with a psychologist buddy of mine back in the sports days, and we built a 10-hour program for men to deal with what we're talking about today, like to understand, how am I so good over here, but I'm struggling over here?
Mm-hmm.
How can I make those things the same? How can I take my relentless, undeniable desire to be at Combine Performance every day and sleep there and shower there and work out and just be giving? And then when at home, I'm struggling in my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe I don't have enough gas left, or I don't know the answer, but we saw it over and over amongst our group of friends and guys we knew in high level positions. And so we built this program, and the beginning was just to guide me, like, because I wasn't good at it. It was great over here, but for some reason I thought I was great both places, and I wasn't, and I couldn't figure it out. So I think that helps my consistency in my life every day. It's my passion project. We do it. We meet with groups of men, but it fuels and feeds this position I'm in today. And I think guys like you, I look up to you because, to me, like, watching consistency is like probably the biggest strength I can see in anybody, right? Like, not just saying it or doing things that are impressive, but watching consistency without them telling you is a big deal. And that's kind of what you've been for me, watching you be really consistent with your people and your work and your job. And you took this gift that, maybe Dave sparked in you, and you actually you became the thing he believed you were. That's a big deal. But I mean, how hard was it? It was not always easy, right? It wasn't easy to get to where Brad Levitt is today.
No. And I'll tell you, Michael, I mean, there's days where I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I think that's the reason I want to bring you on and talk about this as we get into this side. I think the mental side of things, the hardship, right? I think men in general, and women, I think a lot of us entrepreneurs, you're on this lonely island. It's quiet, it's lonely. And,
Yeah.
I think that there are times where, maybe love language, words of affirmation, right? So it gets me, like, you'll say something, or, at a low point, a friend of mine will be like, hey, or someone reach out randomly, like, I listen to your podcast, like, thank you, it's inspiring. Or, I learned this, or on your social media, like, I aspire to do this. And it keeps us going, because I think, man, the reality of life, like, you just go through these waves. Like, I've been through it too. And to your point, I think one thing I wrote down, you said, dang, like, why am I good here and I struggle here? And I think we kind of go through these cycles of where no matter how hard we try, there's elements around us that we're missing, and I think just my personality, I think a lot can relate. I think it's easy to put my head down at work and know if I'm being effective, but in other elements, it's like, am I being effective? If being a dad, being a business owner, there's just a lot of responsibility we have. And so I wish I could say it's perfect, but I definitely learn and lean on people such as yourself and Dave Clark, when he was with us, and many others that, taught me these, these little things. To your point, like, the more we surround ourselves with others, like, you just pick up these little nuggets of information. Like, that's good. You need to remember that. You need to apply that,
Yeah. And I just want to emphasize how important it is, because there are facts out there that it's not our opinion. It's true. It's like, men struggle with depression at a 4x rate than women. But it's also because we've been trained not to speak out. Women are more emotionally do speak to each other. When guys get together, we do things like watch football or play basketball, or we release in a physical way and do things instead of sit in a circle and say, hey, I saw you were really emotional today. You want to talk about it? We don't do it enough, because we haven't really been trained that way for hundreds of years. And what I want to emphasize, because, another friend we shared is John Brinkus. We lost a great human being in him. because he felt like he couldn't take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt like he couldn't share because he was so successful. He couldn't share that he was struggling so badly with anybody
Mm-hmm.
and feel better. And that to me is like, dude, we just lost a great human being because what? Because me and you can't talk to each other
Mm-hmm.
when it's hard. Like, it doesn't take anything away from what you're doing or what you've done because you're having a bad moment. And I think a lot of times the better we get at leading or the higher position we get or the role we get, we start to feel like, well, I can't tell my employees. I can't tell my wife because she'll feel like I'm not leading, or she'll feel like maybe I'm not capable anymore. I can't tell my best friend because I have this time with them. And well, then who do we speak to? And that's the isolation I think you just spoke to. Becomes a little lonely sometimes. Becomes a little isolated, you know?
Yeah.
My guys became my friend. Like some of my sales guys, I would say they're friends of mine, but that's a hard thing to be the boss and a friend
Mm-hmm.
and manage that relationship. So what are some of the things that's helped you? I know that you go through it because it's like a mirror. I know when you get to a certain level, nobody can sit here and say, "Oh no, I'm never." Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just going to talk.
Yeah, it's funny why I don't know why it is that it's like sometimes so tough. It's going back to your golf background. It's funny because you these jokes that like two guys will go golfing and they come back and the wife's like, "What did you talk to Mike today on the golf course?" "I don't know." Like, "How's he doing?" "I don't know."
Right.
Like, "I hear he's going through some personal stuff." "I don't know." And you're there for 4 hours. Like, you just don't even. And
4 hours one-on-one time.
Yeah, and your
you
wife
don't know
or
how the relationship's going.
Yeah, your wife or significant other would be like, "How were you together for 4 hours and didn't talk about anything?" Like, what are you doing? But I think I think one thing that's helped me is, again, I'm a proponent of therapy. I think it's great. There's reasons I need therapy, so I think that's always a good outlet. I think that, to your point, like I think there are a lot of programs out there where people can, have a support group. I think that's huge. I think there's definitely self-care, whether it be working out or lifting or going to the gym or basketball, right? I think those are elements too. But I found too is there are times where, I can't go talk to maybe employees about certain things. There's things I can't talk to clients about certain things. Maybe at home things we're dealing with. And so I always think it's good to have a sounding board. Maybe it's someone who's, has a similar company or role, in the country or state that you could like just say, "Hey, I'm struggling, I'm dealing with this," because, and a lot of us checking in, fortunately, we built some friendships, and some of them, I had a buddy that, just on his own, just reached out. "Hey, Brad, you doing okay? I just wanted to reach out, make sure you're doing all right." And I was fine, but like, you just never know. Like, to your point with John Brinkus, like, you just, sometimes I think, I think just human nature, like there's a lot of value in service, right? I think a lot of times when we serve, we worry a little bit less about our own challenges or problems or things going wrong because it just puts you in a more humble state. And, I think some of us listening to this could just reach out. "Hey, Mike, you doing okay? Like, how are things?" Instead of just always looking inward,
Or, I agree with you 100%. That the one thing I started doing maybe within a year was I have a lot of window time, especially that trip I just had. I had a lot of window time. So, I'd go through my Rolodex and call people and just, "Hey, how you doing?" But I'd ask them 3 times. My new rule is like, you got to ask them 3 times because the first time is always automatic.
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, great. How you doing?" "Great. How are you doing?" Like, "Good. No, everything's good. I'm working." "Mike, got it. How are you doing?" And then it becomes like, now we can talk about something because, like you just said, timing's everything. You never know what's on the other side of the phone. You only do things when you're feeling good here, right? So if you're not feeling good, you're not reaching out and getting the mirror back to you. Something I regret terribly in my life to this day that I still regret a little bit is, I didn't talk to Dave for like, I don't know. When I left, I went to New York for a while, saw my family. I didn't talk to Dave for maybe 4 months. I was upset with how things ended and just a bunch of stuff. Don't have to get into, but more upset with myself. But I wrote him a letter. I think reflecting on just like his role in my life. And I was like, I'm going to send it to him. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to send it to him. I'm going to wait until I go back to Arizona. I'm going to give it to him. And because I made that choice, he had passed literally in that time frame that I made the choice. And the next time I flew back, I was going to his, like, so when you said something, you never know. And that's exactly right. You just don't know. And I don't want to be the type, and this goes in my business too, relationship and business. I don't want to be the type that ever says I should have. I just want to do it. I don't want to feel like I should have talked to John more. I should just talk to John more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to, and look, you talk to a lot of people. Now a lot of people know you. You're more recognized. This network becomes so large. It's like, oh my God. Now I got to like narrow out friends, close friends, core friends. Like it becomes this huge funnel of like, everybody is your friend, but who is your friend? And I think that's an important distinction to make, because then we can really focus on the people that pour into us. And so if somebody affects my life today, I want to make sure that I stay connected to them. You're part of that for me. It's like, I need to make sure. I just think we have this bond between maybe the Dave thing, whatever it was, same building, all this stuff. I see a lot in you that I see in me, but I also see a lot to look up to in you. So for me, it's like, it's not really a choice to not talk or let too much time go by just to say, hey, what's up? How you been? How you doing? I know work, as you get bigger and better, I know work gets harder. How are you managing it?
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, you do so much public speaking now. It's like, not a lot of people call you up and are like, hey man, we'd like to have you speak of this new thing about the challenges in your life, the real hard stuff that makes you cry at night. Like nobody's calling you about that. They're like, hey, we want to talk about that new zero net house you did. It's freaking spectacular. Those pictures you put up were unbelievable. And, and the most beautiful thing I ever heard once was like, people often celebrate our success in the light that never want to talk about the challenges in the dark that we had to go through to get to it. And what have I had to give up? I gave up time with my mother before she passed. I regret the David thing. Like there's a lot of regrets that I was there and I had a choice. I had the choice and I chose what, like the grind or the thing or, and I think we can do both. I think my point to all this is I think that my vision, my goal, my dream for Meek Warrior is one person. I don't, I'm nobody, but helping one person at a time start to meld these things into a new modern version of what it is to be a man and a leader. And that you can do both at the same high level. You don't have to sacrifice one or the other. It's just you have to set different expectations for the height. So you don't go so far away from this one. I mean, that's what I did. My aspirations for dream and business were doing this as my relationship and my marriage was like this. And they got so far apart from each other, I didn't recognize what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, I want to be an advocate. I think role model leadership. I think it's our responsibility. I really do.
Well, one thing that I'll give you some kudos here, I think, in this society, to your point, like sometimes we have a prompting or something, hey, I should reach out to so-and-so, and we forget, we don't do it. And, and it's like, we're all busy, but to your point there, it was a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, just randomly, like we hadn't spoken in a while, and you just sent me this like 2-minute voice text, just like, hey, thinking about you, like appreciate, X, Y, and Z. And it was like really cool. Like, it was just like, a lot of us are not getting those texts. I can tell you as a business owner, usually that phone rings. I'm like, oh, who's calling? Like, what problem do we got now? And right. It's pretty rare that just not asking for anything, not asking for sales, not asking just like, hey, thinking about you, appreciate this you did. And I think in society, this so much toxicity, right, between politics and social media and religion and whatever else. I mean, just everything. It's like, sometimes it's like you reach across the aisle, like, hey, just thinking about you. And, to your point, Michael, it's like, you mentioned the letter. I think that's a good example. I think there's just, all of us, men, women, need to be people of action. And, it's something that, as busy as we are, a voice text doesn't take too long. I have a lot of windshield time driving. It's easy for me to do that. And I'll tell you that I have.
You taught me the voice message
So
because I used to text you and you'd always voice back. I wonder if he always voices back.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, that's actually more efficient. I'm going to start doing that.
It's funny because John Summer, you probably don't know John, but John Summer, he's with Garaza and he does like all of our high-end garages. And he actually just texted me Sunday. He sent me a voice text. He said, Brad, because I sent him, I kept voice texting him for like months. And he's like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know how to figure it out. But then on Sunday, he's like, Brad, my company hates me because I voice text them 24/7. He's all, this is like the best.
Yes, dude. I think I've adopted it since you because I said this to you when we're going to do the podcast. I said, hey, are we going to do it together or online?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do it online this time. And the only reason I said together is because I was like, when you are in physical space with somebody, it's different. When you hear their tonality or their voice, it completely comes off different. So the voice text to me is like, I annoy. I would do it to everybody now, and it's funny how people react to it because they don't know. They're so used to the text,
right,
and quick, and not having to have the interaction that I feel like it's a construct, like a fear for them to like listening to yourself on the answer machine back in the day.
Yeah,
nobody listened to their own voice on the answer machine. You hated it,
right?
Listening to yourself. But yeah, man, the intentionality is there. You can hear where the person's at. To me, text can be read by your brain at the moment you're feeling something.
No, and that's why I do love the voice text. I think emotion, candor. There's just so much you can put into voice that people are like, you can't do it over text. Like people misread text all the time.
Heck no.
Are you being sarcastic?
Especially customers.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like
God.
Yeah.
One phone call with a customer changes everything after you've been emailing or texting them.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it's like, hey, settle the air, right?
Just pick up the phone. They're like, oh no, I didn't mean that. Like, okay, great.
What I do appreciate about you, Michael, is as you think about. Look, the reality is just with economy, cost, inflation, whatever the reason being, most of us are going to be working toward, 70, probably not 65, right? Like a lot of years. And I think what's really important for anyone listening is whether you're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, it's never too late. Even at 50, you still got 20 years ahead of you, right? And you look at you like to make a industry change, career change. I mean, you mentioned this, that you restarted your career, at a point in life when, but again, you can do it. Like that's the thing is, all of us can make those little changes today. It's, I saw something on TikTok, of course, and it's like, we can't change the beginning, but we can change the ending. And then essentially that's, these little things, right, that we can do.
Gary Vee always said that it's like I always loved it, the way of looking at it. He's like, how these people complain or I can't start over or I'm going through a relationship breakup or a job career. It's like, he's like, how old are you? He's like 40s. Dude, you're not even in the first quarter. Like he always thinks of it the other way. It's like, do the math, the time you'll be working or the age you'll die in modern medicine. If you're 80, what are we talking about? You just hit the halftime buzzer. It's like, remember when the Falcons were beating the Patriots?
Yeah, right.
They came back. It's like, so he talks in terms of that. It's like, man, it's never too late to make significant, impactful changes in your life. Business, relationship, family, it doesn't matter. And I think a lot of us get too caught up in the fact that I've been doing it so long. What else would I do? Or I've been with this person forever. I think we get so caught up in that, and that's not how we're designed, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind what anybody believes in. I have a relationship with God, and there's no way that I've been where I've been, got through what I've gotten through, not got in trouble in any significant way if his hand hasn't been on my shoulder the entire time. Even when I was like, no way. It's impossible because I can't do it. Can't do it by myself. So when I look at that analogy, I think to myself, dude, we got to live in villages. We got to live. It doesn't matter who's leading it. What happens if that person takes on all the pressure and all the responsibility and everything, and then they're gone? The village burns to the ground. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be next one up.
Yep.
And if we're actually taking care of each other and checking each other, that will sustain over generations of time, long after you and I are gone. So I want to be able to, in our industry especially, I want to be able to speak to more business leaders and say, like, look, you're doing a great job, but you don't have to do it all by yourself. You're doing a great job, but you need to talk to people. I think you know this. I think, especially today with the access to everything, vulnerability and opening up and understanding the depths of something is so much more impactful and powerful than being like, I'm a bajillionaire. I drive all these fancy cars in this house, and I'm made. Okay, but show me the path. Because then I can choose if I want to be made too, and not just think about the things I want. I want to know if I want to choose to go down the path. It save me a whole lot of time. Maybe I don't want to be an entrepreneur if I knew everything about it. Maybe I don't want to be Brad Levitt if I knew everything about what it took to be him. Right? I don't want to idolize what I don't know.
Right. No, I love that, Michael.
That's kind of where I'm at with that. And I think that if you want to take responsibility to do great things like you do or I do, or hundreds of people we know, men and women, that are grinding out and running companies and being successful, is like, we almost have an extra layer of responsibility to each other. And that's, I don't see another way. And like you said, like it only takes for me, I want it to be more, but it only takes for me small things, dude. It's crazy how like a customer, a smallest little thing they say that has any light on like appreciation, that I'm good for 6 months, on this like high of like, I know that helps me. Thank you. I'm glad, because you don't know how much I do to make sure that I protect you, us, it, the whole thing. And, because there's so many people that don't say anything at all, for how much we do. And this business is like that. I think for you, I think yours is a little difficult than me, because you, like I said, you're in people's intimate space, their home, their finished product, the thing that they are with every day, part of their family, their kids growing up. That's a very intimate thing you do. I'm in a commercial building, and you might not know I'm upstairs. So, even before or after I start, right? So, but yeah, I think you're in such a unique place, and I don't have to blow you up. I know. I look up to you. You've given me some light just being in that building. That's like some of the most special times I had being in the building, because it was cool that different things were happening in there. It wasn't like this one silo of this whole building was this construction. There's a golf studio downstairs, you guys upstairs. We had the crazy guy building the golf course for a while in there, so, yeah, it's such a great experience, and I appreciate everything you do. But I want to continue this talk, with the vulnerability of letting people know that the highest level does not mean you're beyond struggle. The highest level does not mean you're beyond hurt. Doesn't mean you're beyond failure. I mean, failure is forever, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we don't perfect that. It's like the secret ingredient in grandma's recipe that she'll never tell you about. But I believe she doesn't tell you because she doesn't know. I think she failed so many times to make it good. I don't think it wasn't anything special. That's why she's keeping it close to heart. But Man, I'm looking forward to failing a lot more in my life.
Well,
I
that's
just
how
want to
we
be able
get
to
growth.
react to it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how we grow. I mean, I look back to failures in my life and it's really like, redirected me or moved me where I needed to go. Right. And you look back and those are
Heck yeah.
key moments that made great change. Well, Michael, you've been amazing. I know your time's limited. Appreciate you coming on. I know we'll continue this conversation. What do you do for fun?
Yeah, always. Oh, that's a great question. I have been playing a lot more golf. I got a brand new hip a couple years ago,
Nice.
which hurt me forever. So I'm playing more golf now that I'm out of the golf industry. Imagine that. And truthfully, man, I think the mission of the program is really take a lot of my time in a good way. It's like kind of my outlet. I give it away. Like it's not a business, so I don't run it that way. It's become the hobby for me. But I need to pick up something though. Obviously you playing basketball. I need to do something. And do something more like out there, so behind the computer. I need to pickleball or something. Or
yeah,
no good at basketball. I'm past the age of learning to be good at that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It'll come. You're a tremendous athlete, so pickleball will be no problem for you.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's amazing. Where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, ProGuard.com. And we are the licensed providers for General Electric GE silicones in the country. So that's what we do. So GE anything, ProGuard.com. And then Meek Warrior, just www.meekwarrior.com. It's MEEQ warrior.com. So ME is masculine edge, EQ is emotional intelligence, and equals magnetic polarity. So that's our motto.
That's cool.
Tie those two things as a new modern man and become the leader you are at work, at home. It's
amazing. I love it. Well, yeah. Michael, appreciate the friendship and mentorship, and thanks for joining us today.
Oh, heck yeah. I'm only a couple blocks away. I'll be seeing you soon. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to connecting again on it.
Same.